Last spring, we began sporadically working on a backyard mountain bike trail called Thumb Bucket. Today, we're going to pretty much finish it. Currently, Thumb Bucket Trail is split up into two sections. The lower section starts after the Elmer Fudd Bridge with this berm. You then hit this double and the trail continues to the bottom. Higher on the mountain, we completed another section which contains this wall ride and bridge. Today, we'll connect those two sections, making the longest downhill run on Berm Peak. It seems odd to start building on the backside of a berm, but that'll make a lot more sense later. Here we're just roughly cutting our way across the hillside until we reach the upper section. We're not building features or shaping the trail because we need to drive the machine back over it later. So instead, we'll do all the finishing work on the way out. In the meantime, removing all the loam, roots, stumps, and organic matter from the corridor is going to make our job a lot easier. Ironically, we're now building Thumb Bucket without a thumb. That's the part of the excavator you can use to grab things, but the hydraulic hoses that would connect to a thumb now work our tilt coupler. Having experienced it, it's something I would never be willing to give up, even for a thumb. It takes us only a few hours to make our way across the hillside, and then we maneuver the machine upslope where our switchback starts. If you remember from last time, we had a wooden bridge followed by a flat straightaway you can sort of take a breather on. That's where this project begins and where your breather will end. From here, the trail's going to pick up a lot of speed, but this project has screeched to a halt. Okay, so something got caught on a branch and one of my hoses popped off, and then I was messing with the other hose to see what to do with it, and then that popped off. It looks like an air hose coupler where you just slide it back, but it won't slide back, so there's gotta be, I don't wanna break something. If we look like morons, it's actually learning you're seeing. I should probably look this up. This is somehow the first time I managed to snag a hose. Luckily, my father-in-law is here and he worked on these machines for 30 years. And to him, the solution was dead simple. Just let the pressure out of the hydraulic system. Then the hose pops right back on, just like an air chuck. We're back up and running, and if that ever happens again, we'll know what to do. And now we can build this switchback. As I've mentioned, a switchback is a 180-degree turn along a slope. In this case, we'll be approaching it at low speed. But when we drop in, we'll be going downhill, and so we're building a berm at the bottom. So Kevin and I need to be very mindful of the shape, both for rideability and for drainage. Kevin's building a drain that directs water away from the top of our switchback. This prevents water up trail from accumulating and making rain ruts down our berm. Maintaining it this way will be a lot easier, but in February, we have a lot more than rain working against us, because any water on the trail takes forever to dry. Exactly like a clay pot, the clay we build trails with remains mushy until it's baked. Unless you have a few weeks of really dry weather, building bike park style trails during the winter is a mixed bag. Even if it never rains, the freezing and thawing cycle overnight wreaks havoc on anything that hasn't been fully compacted and dried, so the whacker packer can only do so much. We'll move on and hope for a mild weekend. Next on the list is this dead tree. Before we start working down the trail, I want to take care of this tree over here because it looks like we might be able to use some of the wood in it. We're gonna have to drag it across the trail. Better to do that before we finish it and make it look nice. We're just gonna hook it up to the machine, pull back and see if it starts leaning this way, cut her loose. I don't think we're gonna have time for that. Let's hope this doesn't hit the machine. Yeah, I was hoping we could build a cannon out of this, but it's crap. It's red oak, it's all rotted, but I guess we'll just cut it into a few pieces and push it off the trail and keep it moving. That was probably not smart. We'll just file that experience away in the try to be more careful category. So the trail back there makes a right turn. We could make a berm to keep you on the trail, but instead, we're gonna build a roller that slants upslope. So I've got to dig a big hole over there to get the dirt, take all the loam, trail debris, pack it into the hole, zip it up. The tilt coupler makes it a lot easier to shape the actual trail. So we're making big piles of clay along the path to create grade reversals, rollers, and maybe a double to increase the trail speed and make it a lot more fun. As I make a rough shape with the machine, Kevin comes in behind me with hand tools to shape it into its final form. If he ever needs to come close to the machine, the policy is we need to make eye contact. We're not always the safest, but with certain things, the rules are non-negotiable. I have my iPhone in the cup holder of the excavator, and now it's not in the cup holder of the excavator. Hey Siri! Huh? My phone was in the cup holder of the excavator, and I just filled in this borrow pit. Oh, that's it right there. Did it get bladed? So oh, I don't know if I'm lucky yet.
I mean, is the screen broken?
It does not appear that the screen is broken. Yeah, this is pretty dirty, but I found my phone. That could have been at the bottom of the borrow pit. That would have been a disaster. Luck keeps getting better today. It wasn't easy to extract the clay from the ports and speakers of my phone, but it lives on, and our project continues. Now we've reached the backside of the berm. So I'll drive the machine up and over it, and then we'll fix all the track marks and make it look like it was never there. Now it'll make more sense why we ended the trail here. In the previous Thumb Bucket video, we built this berm off the Elmer Fudd Bridge. But that'll be one of two ways you can end up on this route. We've been saving this tree trunk for an occasion just like this. We do have more lumber because Kevin recently collected a bunch of timber and used our skidding rig to drag it all into the trailer and bring it to Piney Mountain Sawmill. But this particular timber I need to cut in-house with the Alaskan mill.
It's still curved, look at it.
But with that nice upward curve, it's gonna be a little bit lippier, and we can call it a banana cannon.
I was like, how did he get that log from the driveway?
So the purpose of the banana cannon is not to launch you off the trail, but to actually keep you pretty low so that you can land into the berm. It's a speed jump. As we complete the Banana Cannon, it seems pretty clear that this trail isn't yet ready to ride. That's why we don't normally build with a machine during the winter. I just thought this time we might get away with it. This is way too mushy for us to carry any speed. Our tire's just going to pack up with mud, but we can stare at it. This might be one of the coolest sections of Thumb Bucket, and I'm saying that having never ridden it. Having learned what we did here, I even want to go back to other sections and rebuild them to be more like this. But until we get a few days of warm, dry weather, we can't ride this trail at all, let alone get enough speed for the Banana Cannon. But when that does happen, we have all of Thumb Bucket from top to bottom, and I can give you a tour of the entirety of Berm Peak, all the trails, every route to the bottom, and a final measurement of just how much downhill we actually have. So I'll be waiting impatiently for that dry weather, and until then, thanks for riding with me today. I'll see you next time.